Hello and welcome to the Superhero Hub. I'm Sam,
I'm that.
and today we're going to be discussing,
Iron
reviewing.
Fist. Iron Fist.
We're going to be reviewing Iron Fist, episode 4, 8 8 Dragon Diagram Palm. I think the episode's called
Catchy.
or something like that. Another weird title. Now, may I say the first 5 minutes were great, but the first 30 seconds have to be the greatest I've ever seen. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I knew it was going to happen. Obviously, he got kicked out the window last episode, but like, they're just focusing on the building. Then all of a sudden, he comes in at an angle. I'm like, yo, why is he coming in on an angle for? And I'm pretty sure he fell backwards off the building, but nah, he's like, whoosh, and then lands on the light. I was thinking that was amazing. That was so good. It made me laugh. That did. What did you think of
Mm,
it?
whatever.
It was mesmerising. I couldn't believe it. And then he does his little Kunlun chant and then just drops. I was thinking, well, um, to be honest, it wasn't really that much of a drop.
Nah.
So really, I was thinking, oh, it's going to be fine because I was looking when it kind of did a heads down thing of him holding on to it, and then the thing at the bottom. I was thinking, oh, it's going to be cool. But apparently, it was sufficient enough to knock him out.
What really got my goat, there's an old phrase, what really got my goat was when the episode picks up after that and he's just like lying on a couch and casually had a conversation with Ward. Oh yeah, I kicked you out a window. And they move on.
Yeah, I think it was because he explained it as well. What did you think I was going to do when I see an intruder climbing in my window? So yeah, and then obviously Harold reveals himself, and there's a little bit more ball busting, emasculation, buddy buddy. All hugging up. I'm so happy to be here. I'm glad you're home. Oh, I've been waiting 15 years to hear that.
How dumb is Danny Rand? Like, it's so obvious that Harold is a villain.
Well, he kind of explained that like he had cancer and he was just about to die, and then the hand approached him with a cure, quote unquote. Now I'm thinking to myself, is that cure the same cure that Elektra got in Daredevil? They put her in the chamber and then brought her back to life because he said, and I quote, before I came back to life that I had to die first. So,
Possibly, yeah. That
so
makes sense.
Mm. So that kind of question raised, I was thinking, pretty much what happened to Electra. So whether there's anything in that kind of theory. So yeah, they cured him of cancer, but in doing so, he was in their debt. So now he's like doing stuff and he's had to stay dead. It's interesting. It's like why they didn't just let him come back to life, but apparently they need him like on the hush hush down low. Um, he was allowed to tell Ward and his little assistant that he's alive, but he wasn't allowed to tell Joy that he's alive.
Why would the hand let him tell his assistant?
I really don't know.
Me either.
Um, expendable, I guess. In the sense that I don't think the kid's going to tell anyone. Interesting, he hasn't popped up this episode either. But I mean, they're sticking to the one Iron Fist thing per episode. You've got Colleen still doing the Fight Club stuff. Obviously, as students are watching the video at the dojo, and they're posted it on the internet. And I quote, "More students mean more green." Economics 101.
Makes sense, I guess.
I don't think she's very proud of what she's doing, but I mean, later on in the episode, you see her kind of sparring with the dummy thing, and she's like slapping it around, and it's interesting because the student said, "Oh, I've never really seen you give it your all," because I think she's kind of restricted in her kind of being sensei and teaching, as it were. So I think that's a kind of opportunity for her to kind of, as well as earn some dollar bill, but to kind of express herself artistically
Yeah, you get the
through.
idea that she actually likes it. And maybe that's why she's so disgusted with herself.
Mm. So yeah, um, a quick fix in the first couple minutes as well. Obviously, Harold's just like to war Joel, give him his company back. So no need for courtroom drama, which I mean could have been a little dragging, but obviously they didn't want us to go through that. It's clear that kind of Harold and Danny have a kind of tightness, obviously, looking as a father figure, and Ward warns him in the elevator. It's like, yo, don't trust my man, you know what I mean? Don't be looking for a father that you had in Wendell and him, because
Hmm.
he's a baghead. Don't trust him. So he gets his company back. Well done.
Yeah, that's so that's so weird. Like, because on the one hand, I've been ragging this show about the pacing and how slow it's been, but now this is almost like the opposite. And I don't. I would feel like a hypocrite to complain, but it just seems so odd that they've dragged it out so much. Then in one episode, suddenly the whole thing's flipped. Not only has he got the company back, like he's sat there on the board making decisions and whatnot now.
There's a lot of parts that I think to myself, two episodes can be condensed into one. That
Hmm.
that's the kind of feeling I get, and it's interesting that it will drag some things out and kind of rectify others, like pretty much like that. Yeah, he's kind of signed all his contracts, got his company, and then yeah, he goes into the meeting. They're talking about I knew this was coming a mile off, because my kind of CEO instincts would have been, obviously he goes in there, they're talking about a pill, $5 to produce, sell it for 50, make a profit of it. Obviously Dan has got, I mean, I think they were trying to be funny when he picks up the chair and drags it all the way around to sit next to Joy. I'd just be like, yo, sit your batty down and prick up the ears. So I mean, yeah, and he's like, "No, we'll sell it at cost," and then they're just like, "Oh, you're gonna put your foot down," and blah blah blah. Now I knew, I didn't necessarily think that obviously there was going to be like the reporter, but I thought it would have got out somehow that, oh yeah, Danny Rand's come into the company, and the first thing he's done is been like, oh, we're not going to exploit poor people, we're going to sell this drug at cost, and oh, what a great guy. And obviously eventually that's what happened, so I saw that one kind of a mile off. I knew that was going to happen, and now you got a kind of um, it's interesting that in the comic books, the Steel Serpent, we'll get onto that, but the Steel Serpent is kind of the exiled son who was supposed to get the Iron Fist, and then Danny comes in, gets it, and obviously villainous stuff. Now, obviously, yeah, the Steel Serpent's going to pop up as someone else, but I mean, it's interesting because they're running that kind of dynamic as well within Ward and Danny, because obviously he's come to the company as a good guy. Everyone's like is getting all the attention, and then Ward's coming off as a bit of a hard ass.
Right, and also Harold, although it's probably bullshit, seemingly likes Danny more than he does his own son.
Well, it's interesting because he's always saying, "Oh, I love you" to Ward and stuff like that. But I mean, to be honest, Dan is a more use. You got to figure that Joy could probably do Ward's job just as well as he could. So I
Right,
mean,
because Ward doesn't. I think that's the thing, isn't it? Ward doesn't actually do a job. He doesn't run the company. Harold does.
mhm.
He's just a proxy.
Exactly, which I mean, whether he gets frustrated with that and ends up snapping or whatever, it's interesting as well because I noticed on a previous episode, but it slipped my mind to bring up. Maybe I was thinking maybe it's a coincidence or whatever, or a one-time thing, but like pill popping, whatever he's doing, like every time he like picks up the phone, I was thinking, is it like a voice distorter or something like that? But obviously it's not because he talks normally. But he like takes a pill and then pops it, obviously like takes it and then answers the phone, and I'm thinking, well, that's happened like at least twice now. I'm thinking to myself, what's that about?
I don't know. I mean, does he have a drug habit? Is he sick? If he's sick, are we going to see him get the same treatment that Harold and Electra got?
It's a
Maybe.
mystery, but I thought I'd bring that up because I didn't want to kind of neglect bringing it up, and then like it happens another like two or three times, and then it's like a massive like plot thing, and me be like, whoop, sorry I didn't bring that up sooner. So yeah, what else happened? Obviously, you've kind of got Danny and Joy kind of reconnecting, talking about his time in Kung Lun, and she goes to answer the door, and then she's kind of kidnapped. It's
Yeah,
interesting because I kind of thought like he's got that kind of thing with Colleen. I was thinking he was going to pop in on her sooner. I was kind of expecting him to do that way early on in the episode and just be like, "Cool," you know what I mean? But it kind of felt like she was kind of forgotten about. But I guess they're kind of on their own paths now for the minute. I figure they'll get brought together. But I mean, yeah.
right.
So
You know Danny's going to be in the dojo training them soon enough, so they'll be hooking back up again.
now, I think the kind of precursor to that was obviously in the meeting, and it was like, oh, what job do I do? And it's like, oh, you don't really have a job. You're just kind of there. So really, is like not really got any massive commitments to be at the company all the time. You know what I mean? Obviously, with board meetings and stuff like that, it's got to be there. But apart from that, is really the day-to-day running's nothing really to do with him.
Right, and so yeah, Joy is briefly taken, and then we get our first real action scene.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, go on.
no, carry on. You're just about to say
I mean,
something.
it was kind of. I'm glad we got it. I'm glad it happened. It felt a bit lackluster compared to the Daredevil ones, which it seemed to be trying to emanate in like the small hallway kind of thing. Um, I don't know what I don't know if it was the choreography, if it was his kind of powers. I don't know what it was. I just didn't really feel it. I thought there was some cool moments in it. I think there was one bit where he just kicked some dude down. That was fun.
Yeah. Do you feel like it should be faster? Do you think it's a little slow in
Yeah,
terms of you're expecting like because
yeah. I
that's what
want
I'm kind of
to
expecting from a
beat the
kung fu.
crap out of people.
Yeah,
Be Bruce Lee. Beat people's ass.
and do it like quick flurries and stuff like that. I thought it was sick though, because I mean you get another kind of because obviously you've seen him punch things with the iron fist, but I thought it was interesting this time. The guy swings the hatchet, he iron fists up, and then it just smacks off his hand because obviously the power like imbued with the iron fist, his hand's resistant to pain or injury. So I thought it was good they kind of showed that as well. Because
Yeah,
I'm
that's cool. But for the Iron Fist, he's been used so far. It's mainly been used like as defensive rather than offensive. Punch some mofo's, man.
Exactly. I want to see him like proper flip out and do some. I think it's only like one hand though. I mean, if it was two hands, you haven't really seen any of that yet.
Yeah.
If it's that, but I mean that would be pretty sick, two hands. But I think really the combat's a bit kind of slow, and then if you're kind of watching it, if it's slow paced, it's kind of predictable. You know what I mean? You see where it's going. But if it's really like that, is like a little bit more exciting. You know what I mean? So yeah. Kind of he's aware of the hand now. He doesn't really know what they want with the pier. Obviously, the Chinaman who tried to kidnap Joy. Obviously, they were going to be the original owners of the pier, but then obviously the Rand Industries interfered. So the guy was like, "Yo, we were going to kidnap her to make an example," and then it was like, "Look, we didn't necessarily want it. We were forced to buy it," and they were like, "By who?" And it was like the hand, and then they sweat and back off. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I thought as well we're going to see a bit of Iron Fist healing going on, because obviously after that he goes back to the dojo, and obviously Colleen's got a wonky finger going on, and he's like, "I'll set it," and I was hoping his hands were going to glow and he was going to heal her. I was expecting to see some of that, but
Yeah. Well,
no.
we do see Colleen kind of training Joy briefly. I don't know if that's going to lead anywhere, but
I mean,
some self defense.
yeah, I think that was just passing the time. It's like, yo, what do you want to do? Sit down on the mats.
Probably, yeah. I suppose you are in the gym. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So yeah, again he extends the offer of some scratch, but
Yeah.
she's obviously too proud. It would be dishonourable of her to accept that. Maybe, who knows?
But yeah, this whole dishonor thing's really doing my nut in. But that kid's right. Like, Honor doesn't put food on the table.
No. You've got to get it done, yo. Any means necessary.
Surely, according to your code of ethics as well, or her code of ethics, you've made a deal with Rand. He's a billionaire.
Got to honour it, yo.
Why not take? Surely, taking that money is a better alternative to doing cage fighting, which you seem to be disgusted by.
I think she's hot for it, yo, and
Yeah.
she's not ready to admit it to herself. So that's the disgust. And obviously, that they go off. It's like, see you later. Then you've got the reporter, and then Ward's had a bit of a drink and is coming off real bitter and kind of arsey, and I was thinking, is that going to come back to haunt him in the article? Obviously he drops about the drug thing and is like going on, it's such a bad thing, and then like she prints the article, he flicks through the paper and sees that
Yeah, that he meant to do that, though, didn't he?
I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, I think he did.
It was good for the company. I think he was just coming off really bitter and stuff like that,
I
obviously.
think I think he's just doing what his dad wanted him to do.
Maybe
Make Danny look good, and it's good PR for the company.
yeah. So speaking of his dad, obviously, woman with cane,
Yeah.
lets him see his daughter, and it's like, yo, who smacked my girl? And then obviously, you see him kind of very Malcolm Merlin-esque, coming out in full outfit, you know, a member of the hand is like, yo, who slapped John Meachum? My man steps up, machete through the head, boom, that's what you get. What did you think of that? Because you're holding your head.
I thought the moment was kind of cool. Yeah, it's cool that he went there and he took out, he did his business. But as a character, I'm still not into it. Compared to the Kingpin, compared to the Purple Man, he's bad, and it's holding the show. I mean, he's not the only one. I think there's a lot of characterization's a problem all over the place, especially with Danny Rand himself. But I'm really not into him at all.
Who, Harold, or
Yeah,
in general?
in general.
I think
I don't know if it's the performance or the writing, but I'm not feeling it.
I think the writing. I think the writing's let down a lot of the characters. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's making Danny come off a little bland.
Incredibly bland. Also, like, I still can't figure out why is he there. As in, why is he finally come back after 15 years? Why now? But what made him make that decision?
I don't know,
What's his
because
goal? He's got what he wanted. He
yeah,
got the company back. Now, what's his goal? What's his entire thing? What's his reason for being?
to make the world a better place, I guess.
Oh,
Because he's dragged into it with the hand. Because I mean, as he said earlier, he was saying about how the hand was a bit of a myth and a legend, and he didn't really know it existed. Now he knows it exists. He's a sworn enemy of it. He's got to kind of do something about it.
even that's just like so paper thin. They're my sworn enemy. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very like honour and stuff like that, very that kind of base, which is kind of cringy, no offence. And then we kind of get on to the end of the episode. He's got a nice little red pot. Another anonymous knock on the door, gets a red pot, opens it. He's got the little note in it, and then takes the note away, and you've got the little dragon symbol. Now it's interesting because obviously that symbol has popped up in Daredevil. It was on all the little heroin things, but it's interesting because it's pretty much his dragon symbol without the wings, and if you were to take the wings off a dragon, that would be it'd be a serpent. So obviously, whether it's an alluding to the steel serpent being around, but obviously he's got to pop up at some point. You got to think that it's a hint to that. Whether he's part of the hand, I mean, if you take him from the comics, he's exiled. You got to think if the Iron Fist is a sworn enemy of the hand, maybe he's just been like, "Yo, screw Iron Fist. I'm joining the hand. I'm gonna kind of get what I deserve there, the respect I'm getting there, as opposed to being second favourite to a outsider, as it was so put." So whether he's going to pop up next episode, I think it's interesting that if it has come from the Steel Serpent himself, why is he kind of trying to help? Because who else would really send that? It wouldn't be the hand, it'd have to be an outside entity, which I think is him, and it's interesting that you got to think they're kind of on good terms.
Maybe, I don't know. No,
Maybe they haven't really properly fell out, but I mean, you first look at the tattoo on his chest, the dragon symbol. You're not feeling that even,
Oh, it's the part of Iron Fist character. It's, it's fine, it's whatever. But it's not. I'm not gonna go gaga over it.
Okay,
It's not like Superman's flying for the first time or something, is it? It's just a tattoo.
yeah, let's talk numbers.
I'll go Sailors 4, 6.5. It's
Uh,
alright, it's no better, it's no worse. It has some action I finally wanted, but to be honest, I don't think it was that good.
I think it's gonna hot up. Episode 4, I think it's gonna hot up. We're edging towards a bit more action. Um, I mean, whether it dwells a lot because there's kind of different kind of things now. Obviously, it's split between kind of Colleen and the company. You know what is doing there and what is doing at the company, and whether they're going to focus on one or t'other. But I think you got to figure that there's probably going to be more fighting. Obviously, there's going to be more animosity now. Whether people I don't think the hand are aware of them yet, but I think eventually something's going to go off. So yeah, I'd give it a 6. I mean, it's averaging out. It's not terrible. It's just like
But it's not,
I
it's
think
not good either.
I think it's you got to look at it as well. It's a lot different from kind of the other shows. It's very like really very kind of drawn out and talky as opposed to a lot going on in the other ones.
It's not different in a good way. That it's,
Yeah, but
it
different
just suggests a
nonetheless.
good job. Well, not particularly. Not really. It's a hero. I mean, for Christ's sake, we've seen a hand before.
Yeah.
We've seen him in Daredevil. It's not that different.
Nah, it's kind of it's all tied in.
We've just got some hokey dialogue and some paper thin characters.
Yeah. I'll
But
agree.
no, it's not terrible. It's just blah.
Yeah. I'd say the writing does let it down. I'll admit that's probably the main problem. I mean, to be badly written and drawn out and very dialogue based ain't hot. You know what I mean? If it's badly written, but there's a lot of action scenes and it's not focusing on dialogue, it's not so bad. But when it's kind of dialogue driven and the writing's hokey, then you kind of like, oh, this again. It's like,
Right. Because Daredevil, we had the dynamic with him and the Kingpin. In season 2, we had the Punisher. Jessica Jones, we had that thing with the Purple Man, and he was a creepy ass guy. And now we don't have that here. I think they're going for it with the intrigue about Ward and Joy and Harold, but I'm not feeling that.
there's really no specific threat as well.
Right, and probably worst of all is Danny Rand himself.
Mm.
It was just not interesting, and sprouts about some really crappy stuff, but it may improve. Get the hand properly on the show, or whoever the hell the villain's going to be, and have him fight some people.
Exactly. I mean, you got to stick with it. I mean, if it gets better, it gets better. If it doesn't, then whatever. But you got to think, even coming off this, season 2 is going to be like a stark contract. So I mean,
I mean, yeah, I mean, we've said it before, but sticking with Luke Cage.
mm.
But there
So
we go. We've still got most of the season to go. Hopefully, it will improve.
yeah, so that has been our review of the 4th episode of Iron Fist. I'm Sam,
I'm Matt.
and this has been the Superhero Hub.